Let's imagine a typical Singaporean guy starting his first job at age 25. His pay? For $1,500 a month. Not bad, right? And factoring with a steady 4% annual increment, his income should grow quite nicely. But here's the real question. With weddings, BTO down payments, childcare, and maybe even a car, how much can he actually save by the time he hits 57? In this video, we'll break down his entire financial journey, stage by stage, from his early career through marriage, kids, and all the way to midlife. You'll see exactly where the money goes, when savings get wiped out, and at what point his bank account finally starts to grow again. Let's zoom into the first few years of working life, ages 25 to 28. On paper, the income looks pretty solid. Starting pay of $4,500 a month, plus a 1.5-month bonus every year and 4% annual increments. After CPF deductions, your take-home works out to about $48,600 at age 25, growing steadily to almost $55,000 by age 28. Not bad for just a 4-year span. But here's the catch: expenses. Even while staying with your parents, costs add up quickly. Parents' allowance, $500 a month, a common sign of filial piety. Meals, $500 a month, since you're eating out more as a young working adult. Transport, about $220 a month. MRT, buses, plus those grab rides when you're tired. Dating, easily $400 a month on dinners, movies, and outings with your partner. Insurance, phone bills, grooming subscriptions, and work lunches add a few more hundred. All in, that's about $2,095 per month or $25,140 a year in recurring expenses. On top of that, you budget around $5,000 a year for a holiday with your girlfriend and gift for her and your parents. So what's left? Let's break it down year by year. Age 25. Take home $48,600. Expenses $30,140. Savings about $18,460. Age 26. Savings rise to about $20,400. Age 27. Around $22,400. Age 28. Nearly $24,500. That means across just 4 years, you could build up a cash cushion of roughly $86,000. And that's not even counting CPF savings. The takeaway? Living with parents gives you a huge head start. Instead of paying rent or a mortgage, you're building a war chest for bigger milestones, like a wedding, a BTO down payment, or your first child. But don't get too comfortable, because as we'll see in the next stage, once the wedding bells ring and the HDB keys arrive, this tidy savings pile can vanish almost overnight. By age 28, after 3 years of dating, he finally decides to settle down and tie the knot. And of course, what's marriage in Singapore without applying for a BTO? He and his girlfriend successfully ballot for a 4-room flat in a central location, priced at about $550,000. And here's the key assumption in this scenario: we're not including any government grants. This is a pure calculation of what comes out of their own CPF and cash. If they take the HDB loan, the down payment is 10% of the flat's price, or about $55,000. Splitting it 60 to 40, his share comes up to $31,800. The problem? At age 28, his CPF ordinary account has only about $24,700. That leaves a shortfall, and he has to top up roughly $7,000 in cash just to meet his share. If instead they take a bank loan, the numbers get scarier. The down payment doubles to 20%, with at least 5% strictly in cash. His portion jumps to $64,800, and with only $24,700 in CPF OA, that means a painful $40,000 cash hole he has to plug. And that's still not the end of it. Add in stamp duty of around $11,000 and legal fees of about $2,000. Normally, these could come from CPF OA, but with his OA already emptied, more cash has to flow out. So what does this look like in the end? Right before marriage, He's got nearly $86,000 in cash savings and about $25,000 in CPF OA. But once the flat is secured, his CPF OA balance is completely wiped to zero, and his cash shrinks by another $20,000. After the dust settles, he's left with just $65,000 in cash savings and nothing in his CPF OA. Years of careful saving, gone in a single milestone. The big takeaway? Without grants, a BTO purchase in a central location can hit like a financial wrecking ball. One moment you think you're sitting comfortably with almost six figures. The next you're scrambling to patch up shortfalls just to get your keys. Okay, the story doesn't end with the BTO. After securing the flat, now comes the wedding. And we're assuming no ong pao from guests or relatives is counted. This is pure cost in their own cash. Let's tally up what a typical Chinese wedding might cost in Singapore in 2025. Banquet, $2,000 per table. For 20 tables equals $40,000. Engagement ring add wedding bands equal $10,650 combined. Pinjin, betrothal money around $5,388. Add those up, and you're looking at $56,000 just for the wedding side. Again, not counting any ong pao contributions. Now on top of that, they honeymoon. A 1-week trip to Japan for a couple in a mid-range style, flights, hotels, food, transport activities. Averages about 2,480 Singapore dollars per person, or 5,000 Singapore dollars for two. So wedding and honeymoon equals $61,000 in extra spending. Recall, after the BTO down payment, his remaining cash savings was about $65,000, and his CPF OA was emptied to zero. Subtract $61,000 from $65,000, and he's left with only about $4,000 in cash savings after the dust settles. So the final picture? Years of disciplined saving, CPF accumulation, and just $4,000 in cash left after marriage, flat, and honeymoon. This is a cold, hard reality. Even though you might feel okay with six figures saved pre-wedding, once you stack on BTO, wedding, honeymoon, and without counting on POW, your buffer gets razor thin. Quick pause here. If you follow the story up to this point, you know how fast savings can disappear once BTO, weddings, and honeymoons come into the picture. So do me a big favor. Smash that like button. The YouTube algorithm loves likes. And don't forget to subscribe. Hours of sweat went into pulling together all these numbers. From CPF rules to wedding costs. And my brain now feels more drained than a groom's wallet after paying for a 20-table banquet. So go ahead, hit like and subscribe, and help me keep this channel afloat. Okay, the plot thickens. After the wedding and BTO down payment, the couple still can't move in. The flat will only be ready in about 5 years. So what do? They rent a 1-room studio in Tiong Bahru for $2,300 a month while waiting. He shoulders 60% of the rent, $1,380 a month, while his wife covers the other 40%. Add in shared utilities, internet, and mobile bills. His share comes to about $115. When you pile this on top of food, transport, insurance, dating, clothes, subscriptions, and workday coffees, his recurring expenses now hit around $3,035 per month, or $36,420 a year. And thanks to inflation creeping at 2% per year, costs only get heavier. At age 28, he also had to pay for the big one-offs. The wedding, honeymoon, and BTO down payment, nearly $106,000 combined. That year wipes him out, leaving him with just $4,000 in cash savings and an empty CPF ordinary account. But here's where reality strikes. He realizes he can't just leave money sitting in a bank account, earning meager interest that barely keeps up with inflation. If he wants his money to grow, he needs to invest in a sensible mix of stocks, ETFs, or even Singapore savings bonds. For this scenario, let's assume his portfolio compounds at a steady 4% annually. With his salary growing at 4% per year, expenses creeping up only 2%, and his savings compounding at 4%, the recovery begins. Each year he manages to tuck away $13,000 to $20,000, and with compounding, the pot grows faster. By age 33, the picture looks much healthier. His cash and investments recovered to about $105,000, while his CPF OA balance rebuilds to nearly $32,000. Together, that's about $137,000 in total financial resources, back to six figures, despite the brutal hit just 5 years earlier. The key lesson? The BTO waiting years are not just about scraping by with rent and daily expenses. They're also the turning point where you realize that blind saving isn't enough. To truly rebuild and outpace inflation, you need to put your money to work in stocks, ETFs, or bonds, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. The waiting period isn't just about getting your keys. It's where financial discipline meets the power of investing. Now comes one of the heaviest stages of life, the early family years. At age 32, the couple finally collects their BTO keys. But the flat is bare, and with a baby on the way, renovation and furnishing become unavoidable. A moderate renovation and furnishing package sets them back around $69,500, while delivering confinement costs add another $7,000. That's over $76,000 in one-off expenses in a single year. On top of that, recurring expenses rise sharply. The mortgage replaces rent, utilities climb in a bigger home, and now there's childcare and baby-related costs. By age 33, their annual recurring spending swells to nearly $59,000 a year, with family insurance upgraded and toddler care included. Here's the reality check. In year 32, their net savings plummet to negative $60,000, and even after their salaries grow, they continue to hover in the red. The cash balance stays negative until well past age 35. It's only by age 37 that they claw back to a slightly healthier position, thanks to steady pay growth and disciplined saving. But in those early years, the truth is harsh. To bridge the gap, the couple would likely need financial support from both sets of parents, or to dip into earlier cash reserves. This isn't unusual in Singapore. Many young families rely on parents for temporary help, whether it's covering shortfalls or taking care of the baby to save on childcare. The key takeaway? Renovation, weddings, babies, and mortgages don't come one after another. They often stack up in the same window of life. And unless you plan ahead, that's when the numbers turn red. It's not about whether you save, but whether you save enough before the storm hits. Just when the couple thought they were getting their finances under control, another big milestone arrives. Their child turns 6, and it's time for childcare. At age 37, the husband's salary has grown to about $8,100 a month, with take-home pay close to $78,000 a year. Sounds healthy, right? But here's the kicker. Childcare adds another $600 a month to his share of expenses. That pushes his annual recurring costs up to over $71,000 a year, not even counting holidays or one-off expenses. With a trip thrown in, total spending hits $77,000, leaving just $752 in net savings for the year, practically break even. By age 38, his salary grows further to about $8,400 a month. But with inflation creeping in, annual expenses climb again to nearly $73,000. After covering everything, he manages to save about $2,400. Slightly better, but the recovery is slow. The reality check: every new life stage brings fresh financial weight. Weddings, renovations, babies, and now childcare. Each time you think you're catching your breath, a new cost comes in. It's a reminder that raising a family in Singapore isn't just about growing income. It's about planning ahead for the inevitable spikes in spending. From age 38 to 40, the family's financial rhythm feels fairly stable. Their main recurring costs come from a mortgage, utilities, insurance, and their child's schooling. At primary school age, that means about $1,000+ a month for tuition, enrichment, and school expenses. Add in food, bills, and personal spending, and their annual recurring costs sit around $50,000 to $52,000. With salaries still growing, they manage to tuck away between $24,000 and $29,000 in yearly savings, and their cash balance keeps building. But at age 41, reality hits. Public transport and MRT crowds are getting overwhelming, and the family now has to shuttle their child to tuition classes and enrichment activities. Convenience and time start to matter more. That's when they make the big decision: buying a car. The car comes with a heavy price tag. A $76,000 down payment up front, plus monthly installments, insurance, charging, parking, and ERP fees that add up to over $1,000 a month. That year's outflow surges past $143,000, flipping their net savings into the red by more than $50,000. It's a financial gut punch, but also a lifestyle choice they feel is necessary. From age 42 onward, the numbers slowly rebalance. Even with recurring expenses climbing past $60,000 a year because of the car, their growing income helps them regain positive savings. $26,000 at age 42, nearly $31,000 by age 44. Their cash balance and CPF OA both rise steadily again, showing resilience after the shock. The takeaway? Sometimes family needs, whether it's escaping packed MRT rides or ensuring kids get to tuition safely, force tough decisions. A car adds real financial weight, but with disciplined saving and steady salary growth, the family eventually restores balance. At age 45, life expenses climb again, now averaging about $75,000 per year. The big contributors are secondary school costs for the child, family insurance, and the ongoing car loan. One-off trips add another $6,000 to $7,000 yearly. But here's the difference now. Income growth outpaces expenses. His take-home rises steadily from $106,000 at age 45 to almost $130,000 by 50. Even after covering all costs, he's still saving $24,000 to nearly $39,000 a year. The power of compounding starts to show. Cash reserves snowball from about $170,000 at age 45 to more than $500,000 by age 50, while CPF OA builds up from $150,000 to over $230,000. The message is clear. Despite rising commitments, a car, schooling, and family, disciplined saving, controlled spending, and steady income growth can turn the mid-40s into a period of financial stability and serious wealth building. At age 51, the family steps into another milestone. Their son enters junior college. With school fees, tuition, and enrichment, his share of expenses now comes in at about $750 per month. That pushes total recurring expenses to $85,000 a year, while one-off costs like travel remain steady. Even so, his growing salary allows him to save $41,500 in cash at age 51, and more than $45,000 by age 52. By now, the household has built up over $725,000 in cash reserves and about $276,000 in CPF OA. Despite rising education costs, disciplined saving and steady income growth keep the family firmly in the black, with momentum building for the university years ahead. At age 53, the family faces the biggest financial challenge yet. His gets an S deferment to enters NUS Medicine. The price tag has ballooned over the decades. Tuition plus living costs now hit about 130,000 Singapore dollars a year, with the father covering half, around 65,000 Singapore dollars annually. That pushes annual recurring expenses close to 120,000 Singapore dollars. But here's the good news. By this stage, his salary is over 180,000 Singapore dollars a year. So despite the crushing costs, he still manages to save between 19,000 Singapore dollars and 34,000 Singapore dollars each year. By age 57, when his son graduates as a doctor, the family has accumulated over 1.26 million Singapore dollars in cash reserves and nearly 400,000 Singapore dollars in CPF OA. The journey proves that with steady income growth and disciplined planning, even the heaviest education bills can be weathered, but only with long-term foresight. From the first paycheck of 4,500 Singapore dollars at age 25 to raising a child through primary, secondary, and even medical school, this couple's journey is a story of many Singaporean families. They worked hard, saved diligently, and faced the big milestones: BTO, wedding, renovation, car, and education costs, often wiping out years of savings in one shot. But through salary growth, CPF, and disciplined budgeting, they still build up over $1 million by their mid-50s. What could they have done better? Start investing earlier, instead of leaving too much idle in savings, and plan ahead for big-ticket costs like weddings and cars. Grants and subsidies could also have eased the burden. If you've enjoyed this financial life simulation, do me a favor, like this video, hit subscribe, and join me for more real stories of money in Singapore.